Imagine a world of shimmering ice stretching as far as the eye can see. This is the Arctic, a realm of breathtaking beauty and harsh extremes. For millennia, this frozen ocean has played a vital role in regulating our planet's climate and supporting a unique web of life. The Arctic is home to iconic species like polar bears, walruses and seals, all perfectly adapted to this icy world. They depend on the sea ice for hunting, breeding and raising their young. Beneath the frozen surface, a rich ecosystem teems with life, from microscopic algae to giant whales. However, this frozen paradise is under threat. The Arctic is warming at twice the rate of the rest of the planet, and its sea ice is disappearing at an alarming rate. This dramatic transformation is a stark warning sign of the profound changes sweeping our planet due to human-caused climate change. Sea ice forms when ocean water freezes, creating a dynamic layer that expands and contracts with the seasons. In the long, dark Arctic winter, temperatures plummet and the sea ice grows, reaching its maximum extent around March. As sunlight returns in spring, the ice begins to melt, shrinking back towards the North Pole. This seasonal cycle of freezing and thawing has been happening for millennia, but the balance is shifting. The amount of ice that survives the summer melt is decreasing, and the ice that remains is thinner and more vulnerable. This is not just a natural fluctuation, it's a clear sign of a warming Arctic. The Arctic acts like a giant refrigerator, reflecting sunlight back into space and helping to cool the planet. However, as sea ice melts, it exposes darker ocean water, which absorbs more heat, further accelerating the warming process. This creates a dangerous feedback loop, amplifying the effects of climate change. Satellites have been monitoring Arctic sea ice since the late 1970s, providing us with a stark visual record of its decline. The data is irrefutable. The Arctic sea ice cap is shrinking at an unprecedented rate. The minimum summer sea ice extent, a key indicator of Arctic health, has decreased by about 13% per decade since satellite records began. In 2012, the Arctic experienced its lowest summer sea ice extent on record, a sobering milestone that shocked scientists. This dramatic decline is not limited to the summer months. The volume of Arctic sea ice has also plummeted, with older, thicker ice being replaced by thinner, more fragile ice that is more susceptible to melting. This thinning ice is less resilient to storms and warm spells, further accelerating the rate of ice loss. The primary driver of this rapid Arctic warming and sea ice loss is human-caused climate change. The burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and warming the planet. These greenhouse gases act like a blanket around the Earth, preventing heat from escaping back into space. This warming effect is particularly pronounced in the Arctic, where the loss of reflective ice amplifies the warming trend. The scientific evidence is overwhelming. Human activities are the dominant cause of the observed warming since the mid-20th century. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, the leading international body for the assessment of climate change, has concluded that it is extremely likely that human influence has been the dominant cause of the observed warming since the mid-20th century. Section 5. Ripple effects. Impacts on wildlife and weather. The shrinking Arctic sea ice has profound implications for the delicate balance of life in the Arctic and beyond. Polar bears, for example, rely on sea ice as a platform for hunting seals, their primary food source. As sea ice disappears, polar bears are forced to travel farther and work harder to find food, leading to malnutrition and declining populations. Walruses, too, depend on sea ice for resting, giving birth and raising their young. With less sea ice available, walruses are forced to haul out on land in massive numbers, increasing competition for food and resources and making them vulnerable to stampedes and predators. The impacts of Arctic ice loss extend far beyond the Arctic Circle. The melting ice contributes to rising sea levels, threatening coastal communities worldwide. Changes in Arctic air circulation patterns can disrupt weather patterns across the northern hemisphere, leading to more extreme weather events like heat waves, droughts and floods. Section 6. A grim future. Projections and tipping points. If current trends continue, the Arctic Ocean could be virtually ice-free in the summer months within a few decades. This would be a dramatic transformation with far-reaching consequences for the planet. Scientists warn of potential tipping points in the Arctic climate system, where rapid and irreversible changes could occur. For example, the melting of permafrost, permanently frozen ground found in the Arctic, could release massive amounts of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere, further accelerating climate change. The melting of the Greenland ice sheet, another potential tipping point, would have catastrophic consequences for global sea levels. The Greenland ice sheet holds enough ice to raise global sea levels by about 7 meters or 23 feet if it were to melt entirely. As Section 7, Turning the Tide Action for the Arctic. The future of the Arctic, and indeed the planet, depends on our collective action to address climate change. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is paramount. We must transition away from fossil fuels and embrace clean, renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and geothermal power. Investing in energy efficiency measures, promoting sustainable transportation options, and reducing deforestation are also crucial steps in mitigating climate change. International cooperation is essential to tackle this global challenge. The Paris Agreement, adopted by nearly 200 countries, provides a framework for global action on climate change. We must act now to protect the Arctic and preserve its beauty and vital role in our planet's climate system. The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now. Section 8. Global cooperation, a shared responsibility. Protecting the Arctic requires a global effort. No single nation owns the Arctic, and its fate is intertwined with the actions of countries around the world. International cooperation is essential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote sustainable development, and protect the Arctic environment. The Arctic Council, an intergovernmental forum composed of the 8 Arctic states and representatives of Arctic indigenous peoples, plays a crucial role in fostering cooperation and addressing Arctic issues. The Council promotes scientific research, environmental protection, and sustainable development in the region. Beyond government action, individual choices can make a difference. By reducing our carbon footprints, supporting sustainable businesses, and advocating for climate action, we can all contribute to a healthier planet. Section 9. A call to action, preserving our frozen north. The Arctic is a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the profound impact of human activities on the natural world. The melting of the Arctic sea ice is a wake-up call, urging us to take responsibility for our actions and work together to protect our planet's future. We must act now to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, transition to a low-carbon economy, and build a more sustainable future. The fate of the Arctic, and indeed the planet, hangs in the balance. Let us rise to the challenge and ensure that future generations can marvel at the beauty and wonder of the Arctic for centuries to come.